have like a bad cobra day, I had a bad cobra day.
That's true, that happens though. There's some days I can't turn.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sky, and this is Colabrina.
Hello.
Welcome back to our nude Pilates series. Today we're going to be doing intermediate level Cobra exercises. So I'm going to show you a basic warm-up for the Cobra, and then I'm going to also show you the basic Cobra, and I'll show you the intermediate level Cobra with some variations added to it. So, Colabrina, how do you feel about the Cobra?
I really enjoy Cobra. I've been doing it like in yoga, and the coolest thing about it is that like since I started doing yoga 2 or 3 years ago, I have seen improvement in it. I have seen my spine curl up more than it did when I started, and it was one of the things where I could really mark my progress, whereas like the other positions you feel yourself going deeper, but it's a lot more subtle. And this was like something where I could really see. I still can't like do a full Cobra or anything like that. And I know the challenge is definitely not to like push up with your hands. You really want to when they're on the ground, and so you have to understand it's coming from your spine. It's really, your hands are just there.
They're like just an illusion in a way. Yeah, right? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I also love the Cobra. I think it's an excellent exercise. Again, getting to know the self, getting to know the body, it's really awesome. So yeah, the Cobra definitely helps with the centering. It's kind of like the flip side of the roll back and the roll down, I would say. So we're going to get into the Cobra. First we remove our clothes, because usually when we do our exercise, we like to be as uninhibited as possible and really feel the movement. So we take off our clothes during Nude Pilates series, just to show you that you could do exercise with clothes, without clothes, it just doesn't matter. Let's begin. We actually will start this one standing, but we're going to roll down onto the floor, onto our bellies. So let's stand at the most edge part of your mat, either on it or half off. We're going to inhale, still feeling like we're laying on the mat, keeping the shoulders down and the belly still scooped out. Bring the tips of your fingers together, kind of like a triangle above your head, and you're going to start curling your fingers down towards your head. When they come down towards your head, start to drop your head down and your chin down towards your chest. And keeping your belly in and your shoulders down, you're just going to roll down, keeping your legs straight. Let your fingers and your body hang low. And take a deep inhale. As you exhale, keep your tailbone right in the center of you. Scoop your belly up, keep your hips a little bit forward, and then roll up. Very nice. So now we're going to take our feet more to a parallel, a little bit of wider, kind of like a fist and a half apart. And we're going to come down onto the floor, taking a deep inhale, exhale, starting from the top of the head, and rolling down. And as we get halfway, we're going to start bending our knees, exhaling, placing the palms of our hands down onto the mat, walking forward with your hands, bringing your knees gently down to the mat. And let's walk all the way forward onto the forearms, and then bringing the hips down onto the mat. So we're here for our Cobra position. Now we want to establish the neutral spine while we're on our bellies. So how we do that is we bring your hips forward. You want to really feel your left hip bone, your right hip bone, and your center pubic bone on the mat. So that calls for a tilt of the pelvis. You kind of got to bring it forward, weight the tailbone down, and bring the hips forward so you really feel them on the mat. Normally, our pelvic tilt kind of goes a little bit backwards this way. We want to just bring it forward so it can be neutral right in the center of the body. And the same thing applies to the belly as it does when you're on your back, on your side, whatever. You scoop your belly out. So you're going to lift your belly off the mat, keeping the hips forward, arms down by your sides, and keep the shoulder blades low down, just like they were before. All right, so you can take your forehead onto the mat. And from here, you're just going to press heavy into the palms of your hands, we're going to take a stretch. So you're going to press into the palms of your hands, lift your elbows, keep your belly and your hips forward, and you're going to press up and sit on your heels. So keeping the shoulders down, the belly still scooped out, and that pelvic tilt is now neutral. And you're going to scoop your belly out, weight your tailbone down, come on up to your knees, and go right back forward. So that sitting on the heel is called child's pose. It's an excellent stretch to do when you do a lot of exercises in this position, where you'll be probably raising your legs and raising your back and really engaging the lower back. It's good to stretch it out from time to time. So let's start with Cobra. We'll show you basic Cobra. We're going to bring our legs just a little bit closer together. As you bring them close together, you want to think of your inner thigh going towards the ceiling. And still feel those hips into the mat, belly still scooped out, shoulders down, and forehead down on the mat. So the hands are like they're resting on raw eggs, something really fragile. You're going to scoop your belly out, take a deep inhale into the back of the lungs. As you exhale, you lift your head, drawing a line with your nose all the way across the mat. Keep the line going across the mat, and let it go all the way to the wall. Once it goes to the wall, you're going to engage your abs even more, hips go forward even more, shoulders go down even more, and you're going to come up just as much as you can, and take a deep inhale and exhale. As you come down, you lower one bone at a time, still counting the bones in your spine. Even though your back is behind you, you still want to pay attention to it. And again, take a deep inhale and exhale, raising the head, using the nose, go across the mat, let it go to the wall. Before you even start to engage your abs more, press your hips forward and lift yourself up off the mat. Very nice, and coming down. Okay, excellent. So that is basic Cobra. So Cobra, you can lift your head and you can take a nice relax right here, palms facing down. Basic Cobra is just like that. So when we add things to the Cobra, let's say to make it what we call a swan dive or other positions, then we start really working on the abs. So what I want to do is do a different Cobra where you're going to bring your heels towards each other, separate your legs a little bit more, a little wide, there you go. And now this one, we're going to try our best to come a little bit higher. So your arms are going to come down by your sides. Your heels are down and your toes are out, and you get to feel your hips even into the mat just a little bit more. So hopefully when we come up, we can get that real stretch in your hip flexor to bring you all the way up to that kind of concave lens that I like to talk about. So we take a deep inhale, engage the abs, hips forward, exhale, take the nose, and we go across. Coming on up. And inhale, exhale. Remember those feet coming down. So as you remember those feet staying there, you're going to kind of want to go from side to side because your feet are in a different position and your brain kind of wants to know what exactly they're doing down there. Whenever that happens, don't worry about it. Think more about the spine. Focus more about the center, more about the core. And from there, you'll know exactly what to do with your feet. So let's do it again. Inhale, exhale. Thinking more about the spine. Inhale, especially on the come down. Don't worry about those feet. It's more spine here. And down. Very nice. So you're going to lift your right leg now, Colabrina. Keep it up. Keep your hips forward. Scoop your belly out. And come on up. So as you come up, iron out that inner thigh. Let it get straighter as you go straighter in the front. Let the hips come forward and the belly come out. Inhale and exhale, coming back down. And we'll do for the other side, lifting the left leg. Scoop the belly out, hips more forward. So, even though we're bending up high like this, right? You may think, oh my gosh, your lower back. But no, once your hips are forward and your belly is in, there's no pressure on my lower back at all. And we'll do one more time each side. Lifting the right leg. And scooping out. And coming up. And And other side. So still remembering those shoulder blades still gliding down, the belly still in, the hips are still forward. And down. So before we go to the next level, which is raising both legs, we're going to take our legs back to neutral and bring your arms a little bit wider, raising the elbows so we can sit in child's pose. Scoop out your belly, let your hips come back, shoulders down and stretch. So most people usually stretch by stretching out. Child's pose is so excellent because as you sit right here, you can press down into your shoulder blades and reach out your fingers and get like a better stretch, which is actually excellent. And also with child's pose, if you wanted a deeper stretch in your hips, you can always keep your hips going forward and just let your knees get a little bit wider and get a deeper stretch in your hips this way. And also bringing your hands together and letting your shoulder blades rest down also makes for a nicer stretch as well, more in this part of the spine. So we come out and we come up, and we're going to go right back down and do the next exercise, which is raising both legs as your legs are turned in and your heels are down and your toes are back. So you're going to raise both legs by scooping out your belly, keeping your hips forward, and raising both legs up. And scoop your belly out. And come on up. Very nice. Inhale and exhale. And breathe. So let's bring your heels down just a little bit more. You're going to rotate, yes. And then raise your legs up. Take a deep inhale, exhale, scooping out and coming on up. And exhale. Okay, and lower. So, a little bit more of a challenge for the cobra. Now, if you face your palms inwards, Rena, and raise your head up, you can bring your legs up now. And we've got our belly scooped out and our hips forward. And this is an intermediate exercise. You can raise your arms out. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, just come on up a little bit. Very nice. And lower down. And we'll slide back. And take a deep inhale and exhale. Raise your legs. Same thing. Inhale, exhale. Bring your arms up and out. Now let's bring them both up and down. Now let's slide our arms back and right into child's pose to sit down. Taking a deep inhale right into the back, pull right up into the back of the lungs. And exhale, let it come down the tailbone and down the spine. Now let's just slide our hands back and pick up our head and be very gentle and kind, rolling up. And then we can come and sweep our knees around. That is our cobra. What do you think about the different levels of the cobra?
The lifting the legs part was really, really hard, especially once you correct me. I was like, how do I do that way? It really changed a lot, and it really reminded me how rooted down my hips needed to be
to get it up. And I thought you did an excellent execution of it. It looked very fluid. It didn't look like it was hard for you at all.
Thank you.
So kudos to you on that one. That was really good. So yes, that's our cobra, and that's very, very important. When you want to get the spine to start moving back, you see people moving and dancing, you're like, how do they do that? Some people have a natural instinct to just, do things like that. Some people have a really flexible spine. But if you want to calculate how to do it, and if you want it to be a very, deliberate act, then you do. Your hips go forward, your belly goes in more, and you can do it on the mat. And you can also do it just standing up. Like or sitting down, if I were to go back right now, I would have to think, bring this in, bring this up, and then go back and come up. So yes, Cobra is very exciting, and I'm so glad that we got to show it to you today. welcome back to our new Pilates series. So we're going to be doing the hundreds today. That is the definition, if you do, of Pilates. The first exercise everyone does when you're on the mat is the hundreds. When you're on the reformer, you do a series of footwork exercises that stabilize the core, but on the mat we do the normal stretches that we did do in my beginner and intermediate warm-up video, and then we get into this actual exercise. So are there any questions about the hundreds? Like, why is that exercise the way it is?
I don't really know where it came from, just like the origin of it. I know like how tied in it is with Pilates since I started and learned it, or why it's called what it is also, if that's a silly question.
Right. Well, it's called 100 because you do 100 of these pumping motions with your arms as you inhale and exhale. So you inhale for 5 counts, exhaling for 5 counts, and you do 5 sets of, right? So you will have the exercise. The reason why the exercise is made is to get the powerhouse, the trunk, the core, all situated and all together. And how we do that, normally people feel that you have to do sit-ups or certain types of exercises to get that done, but you actually can do a series of tension and flexing on the body that can get it just as strong as it would if you were doing a bunch of crunches or sit-ups or anything like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove our clothes, show you beginner, intermediate level of hundreds, and hopefully you can stay with us while you're doing your exercise. This is an exercise that never really gets easy. You just get used to it, and then once you get used to it, you always want to take it to a next level. So let's start. So we're going to start with our feet in parallel, about hips width apart, and we're going to reach your arms out, take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to roll down one bone at a time. And here, once again, we get to establish our neutral spine, really making sure that your lower back is down, your shoulder blades are on the mat, and you feel the pelvic floor, which is that sacrum and the tailbone at the bottom, on the mat as well. Take a deep inhale and exhale. Bring your right knee and your left knee towards your chest and establish your tabletop. So usually the heels are a little bit higher for some tabletop position. If you have more of an arching of your lower back, you kind of want to bring your tabletop just a little bit higher. If you do not have an arching, then you can take your tabletop and keep it to the parallel level to the ground. So starting with basic hundreds, they start at tabletop. Curl your head and neck forward, reaching your arms forward, and you inhale as you pump your arms 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, and inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 3, 4, 5, inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 10 more to go. 4, 5 before we get halfway. And now at the halfway point, we're going to stop right here, Colabrina. You can keep your head and neck curled forward if you have tension, though, because you should have nice evenness on each side of the neck. If you have tension, take your head and neck back down to the floor. You can also get a rag or a towel or a little soft cushion, and you can always place it right here so that you can still establish that curve. But at the 50 mark, I wanted to stop because we can take this to advance, where you extend your legs out and curl your head and neck forward, and you pump your arms. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going with your legs just like that. It's fine, but you can also take your legs even lower. So you see, my lower back is going to stay down on the mat, my shoulder blades are going to stay down on the mat, and my tailbone is going to be really, really heavy as I pump my arms and keep my gaze on my thighs. Inhale, 2, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And bringing your knees into your chest. Inhale, exhale, shoulder blades are down, and pelvis is still on the floor. So it's always good when you're done with this exercise to squeeze your knees into your chest and keep the shoulder blades down. What you don't want to do when you do ab exercises is stretch out your abs immediately after. So if you do some sit-ups and then you want to do like a back bend after, you've just unraveled everything you've done. So when you do your hundreds or your crunches or any ab workout, when you're done, the best is to bring it in and squeeze it. Let the energy go straight down so that we can keep everything that we did. So another level of the hundreds. We're going to be doing so many more, so you can definitely keep your head back if you want, Colobrina, or curled forward. So you bring your arms up and your heels to tabletop. Nice steady movements here. This is also a good warm-up to help you get ready or after to cool down after you've done your hundreds. Still keeping the lower back down, belly still scooped out, and shoulder blades on the mat. Now let's come in. And if there's tension on your neck, you can just take your head to the left, take it to the right, come center. You can nod yes and no. And then with the back of your head, make 5 tiny circles to the right. And then same thing, making circles to the left. I love those stretches for the neck because they usually let it get nice and long back here, and then they let the jaw drop. So that's good for you in everyday life and also excellent for you as a singer. So let her jaw be nice and loose to belt out those chords and tunes. So another variation for the hundreds is bringing your arms up to the ceiling, knees still at tabletop, belly scooped out, curl your head and neck forward, and bring your arms down, extend your legs. So as you're pumping your arms, you can open and close. 4, 5, exhale, 2. There's so many different versions that you can do. I know, right?
So I thought I could do that.
If you are a beginner or intermediate person, if you wanted to take it to a challenge, you definitely can move your legs around and your arms around while you're doing your hundreds. But what is really, really imperative is that this lower back stays down. Nothing can get through this. I can't go to the other side with this. And here as well. You don't want to arch rib and you don't want to arch back while you move your legs up and down while you do your hundreds. So getting up from the hundreds, what I always love to do is kind of like a half rolling like a ball. You place your hands on your shins and you think of your head tipping down towards your tailbone. Take a deep inhale and exhale and kick yourself up to a seated position. And usually if I feel like I need to stretch out even more, I place my hands on my shins, bring my elbows nice and wide, scoop my belly out, pulling on my shins while I'm pressing back and reaching forward with my tailbone and keeping my belly tight. Still breathing right up into the back. And then exhale on the stretch. I'm just going to keep the belly really tight and just lift the sternum and the chin. And let the tailbone relax. Keep the belly really tight. And then back again. And then lifting, keeping the belly tight and just lifting the sternum and the chin. And then coming back to neutral. From here, I like to stay kind of hanging down. And from here, I'm going to flex my feet, keep my belly in, and extend one leg at a time. And go straight on over into another stretch. And here, it's excellent because you can let your head hang. Just let it drop down. Let your shoulders drop low. Let them relax. Your elbows, let them fall into the floor and relax. And nod your head yes. And shake a no. And take a deep inhale. As you exhale, anchor down into the hips and start coming up one bone at a time. Count the bones in the lower spine. Keep your belly in really tight. And keep that C curve until you come all the way up, almost like that. Yeah, that marionette pulling you down. So let it be nice and free. Cool. So those were our variations for our 100. Not an easy exercise. There's a Pilates guru named Kathy Ross Nash, and she's always like, it's a nasty exercise. It's a horrible exercise. She's like, more, more, more. So we try to make it easier than what it is. But I mean, it's definitely beneficial and not painful, just a little strenuous. Okay? How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel like at a certain point I really want to try being able to get my legs to do different things as I move my arms to the hundreds, but even if I couldn't get there today, it's like a new future goal. Like the widening and narrowing was just, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. But do you feel that it's a possible transition? Like you can see yourself getting there? Like
Yeah,
to
it
that
seemed
point?
a lot more possible to be able to move my legs up and down, like and kind of scissoring them, I guess is what I would say. That seemed a lot more like accessible for the immediate future rather than
Side to side.
side to side.
Yeah, it's great, and it's good to know that you know exactly what your body wants and like what you can do and stuff. So yeah, it's excellent. Always, guys, start out really, really slow before you do it. Really see your body and your mind. If you want to do the hundreds with your legs going up and down, see that neutral spine first, and then take the legs up and down, and then eventually graduate to like all the other things you can do. You can do circles with your legs. You can do all those things, but just as long as that powerhouse, that trunk is like stable.
Yeah, it's really very tempting when you do something so quickly to use your momentum, which means you're not using yourself. So to try a motion slow, and then if you want to work quickly, ease into that. It's probably the right thing to do.
Cool. All right, that's our hundreds. Thank you. Welcome to Intermediate Nude Pilates series. So we've been doing a series of videos showing you the basic movements in Pilates, and we're going to show you one of the basic movements, which is the half and the full rollback, but we're going to add some layers to make it a more intermediate level of experience. Usually it's just sitting on the floor and rolling down and up and kind of like counting the vertebrae in your spine, you know, allowing your spine to really align, because sometimes it gets mismanaged as you go through your course of life, so we try to get it back. Do you have any spinal like issues, not like diseases, or is there anything in your back like really bothers you?
Not usually, no. I mean, like I always try and like keep it very straight for singing, and I have to like sort of keep my tailbone under me in a lot of life and some other like exercises. The way that you walk, it sort of reverses that a bit, and you want to move it. You'll think to move it out depending on like how you balance the certain shoes that I've worn. Like it definitely like changed what my spine is doing, especially in relation to my tailbone.
Yeah.
But other than that, like it's just sort of like the daily reminder to sort of like keep myself as straight as I can.
Yeah, everyone has their own pretty much rhythm, and it of course is hardwired into the rhythm of our planet that we dwell on. So I like the rhythm of the human being. It's a very bouncy kind of rhythm that the human has, and it all comes from the spine. It's like the spine is just hanging there, and you can feel it sometimes. It's hard to go through the day-to-day course of life and not get distracted, especially we live in New York City. It's hard not to be distracted from things. So your own rhythm is something that that you really got to get into, and feeling the spine is one of the ways to do it. When we meditate, like in yoga and stuff like that, you feel the spine, and it's the same thing in Pilates. So if you will, just close your eyes and think of your spine from the top of the head down to the tailbone. And now I want you to kind of breathe into your spine. Like, I can say these things to Colabrina because she's an artist and also because she takes yoga. People that don't usually take art and don't usually do yoga have a different sensibility. They more work with knowledge and reasoning. So saying something like breathe into your spine is a little bit hard. But you have to close your eyes and you have to really, really see your spine. Sometimes it's a little scary just to imagine the skull and the bones of yourself, because it's just like, oh my God, like, but you know, just eye sockets and jaw and that's it, and bones. But that is you and you're there. So if all the energy, Colabrina, would come back into the spine as you breathe in and out, you can feel like you're just really, really just hanging there in space, like something is actually keeping you there. And this is not too much of it's a movement video, but we don't get to walk around like in some of my dance series videos. But when we do stand up after, we'll have a video for standing up. We'll walk up and down the mat and we'll actually get to feel that human rhythm, and you'll get to feel the bounce of yourself, kind of just like I hate to say a puppet on a string, but you get to kind of feel like, wow, like it's almost like you're in water in a way. So, did it feel cool?
It did feel cool. I mean, I think when I first was introduced to breathing and singing, I had to sort of like, I only thought about the forward front kind of like belly expanding thing, and it was a challenge years ago to sort of understand that this is like a whole thing that happens when you breathe, and sort of to breathe towards my spine was a transition I had to make, and it helps to know about it more now.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a really cool feeling. And like I say, you never stop learning about yourself. Like, you know, it's sometimes you feel like you know everything, and you're just like, oh, I've said it too. Like, I don't know if I have much more to learn. And it's just like, yes, you do. Like, are your toes up straight? Like, no, we'll straighten it. Find a way to straighten it. But anyway, so we're going to remove our clothes for freedom of movement, and we don't want usually to be inhibited when we do our exercises. So that's why we do nude Pilates. We're going to do the roll back today, which is a focus on the spine, rolling up and down, and we're going to take it to the intermediate level. So let's begin. So Pilates is so important to the body, and what's very important is also the breathing. So we really want to, again, establish the post-lateral breathing that we try to establish every time we're doing work. So what we want to do is really feel the back of the lungs and the back. So we're going to take our hands really flat and place them onto your shins. And now just let them wrap around your shin bones and bring your elbows nice and wide out to the sides. Good. So we started out warming up on the floor, and we established a nice neutral spine. You still want to feel the same feeling. We spend a lot of time on our back getting to feel that spine, so that once we sit up, that same vibe is still there. So your shoulder blades are still on the quote-unquote mat. Almost pretend like the mat is still up against your back, shoulder blades are down, and then the belly's still engaged. So the core and the lower back is still down towards the mat, and that tailbone is still heavy. So as you're sitting up, the tailbone is heavy. That means that it's going to reach kind of forward. And when you think about it, we're still establishing that C curve, going straight down. So elbows out to the side. We're going to take a deep inhale, filling the back of the lungs with air, and exhale, straight down through the tailbone. And inhale again. And one more inhale, and exhale. And then I'm just going to reach back here, and I want you to breathe into my hand. More, and exhale. Very nice. So I wanted you to feel it kind of like go up in there when, and that's what you want to feel. Almost something pulls you up right into your lungs. as it goes straight down. So warming up the spine again, we're going to take the top of the head, just look up to the ceiling, and do a nod straight down. I like to use my eyes and my nose to stay right in the center of myself, nod straight down, and your chin will come down to your chest. And then again, so now you want to just think of the tailbone reaching forward and its relation to the top of the head. You're going to anchor your tailbone down, take a deep inhale, and exhale, just lifting your chin back along that line, let the shoulders stay down, back up to the ceiling. And inhale, keep the shoulders low. As the head moves forward, the shoulders still stay gliding down. Inhale, exhale, straight line going down. Keep remembering that belly and the tailbone. Inhale, exhale, and let's just come straight up to the gaze right in front of us. Cool. Very nice. Okay, we're going to flex our feet. Keep your tailbone nice and weighted. Let your hands come down to your sides. And then slide your heel down, keeping that tailbone right in the center. Keep the belly scooped out. And from here, you're going to feel the back of the thigh really melting into the mat, back of the knee, and the calf. Same thing on the left side. Shoulders still stay down, belly still engaged. Slide forward. And now you're here. Okay, so this little C curve is good as we come up. But now we want to be a little bit more straighter, so this is where the hips come into play. So we're going to use the bottom of the trunk and get to know that we have a lot of help coming from our hips. And what our hips are going to do is going to anchor us up more to a straight position, a straight seated position. So you anchor up right up onto your sit bones and still try your best to feel the backs of the thighs on the mat. So that feeling that we established when we were laying down, it's still the same C-curve feeling even though you're up here. So tailbone's heavy, everything's gliding down, and this is more relaxed, and this should be a little loose. I feel like here, good. So you've got enough space. I'm going to scoot a little bit more forward, sitting nice and tall in the sit bones, and now you're going to bring your arms up to parallel. And we're going to test out the core here, bringing the arms up to the ceiling. So the shoulder blades are still going to glide down and the belly is going to be engaged. Your spine is still there in the center. So now you feel certain muscles in your sockets that you don't necessarily use. They kind of feel kind of like, oh, I thought we usually use these muscles when we go up and down. Now you know what your up and down is. Let's come back to parallel arms. Keep the belly scooped out. Now let's come down to the mat, keeping the belly scooped out. And now we're going to scoop out your belly and slide and just bring your arms up really quickly, but keeping the core engaged. Inhale, exhale through parallel, straight up. Inhale, exhale, straight back down. Okay, so from here, we are going to take this to another level. We're going to show you the basic half roll back and then the full roll back. So your arms come to parallel. You scoop your belly out. You're going to reach forward with your tailbone, face your palms inwards. Everything is reaching forward as you go back. This is the best part. Reaching forward with the tailbone, scooping down, counting the bones in your spine. So we start from here, lower back, and let's start halfway. And as we take a deep inhale and exhale, you're going to anchor down your hips, tailbone. Keep the spine curved, almost like you're coming up and over a beach ball. Hang here for a second. Take a deep inhale. Exhale. Start from the bottom of the spine and roll up to a seated position. And now we're going to do the full roll back, which is all the way down to the mat. And we try our best to keep the backs of the thighs on the mat the whole time down, reaching forward with the tailbone and trying your best not to crash into the mat. So as you're at your 3/4 point, on the top side, just use your sternum columella to weight you down, more like softening that rib cage, and then go down. So we take a nice inhale and exhale. Keep breathing. Save that breath all the way to the bottom. Go down. And now still feeling those shoulder blades, still feeling that energy going behind us, right? Lower back is still down. We're going to peel ourselves up off the mat. And we start with the top of the head. Inhale and exhale, just nod forward. And you can take another inhale, exhale, and reach forward. Keeping the backs of the thighs onto the mat. Come over that beach ball. And take a nice inhale, exhale, start from the base of the spine, and roll up. So that is the half roll back and the full roll back. We can come back and relax here. And now we're going to show you some variations. So, keeping the spine nice and neutral in the center, flexing the right foot, we're just going to bend your knees and slide that heel back up towards you. And place the foot on the mat. And next thing with the next foot. And down. Okay, so if you feel any tension, which you really shouldn't, but sometimes if you're not used to rolling up and down, you can always stretch out the spine. Breathe right into the ribs. And then as you come forward, you're going to lower your shoulders and reach your sternum forward and lift the chin. Keep the belly scooped out, but let's do a reverse of that spine, right? Kind of like a lens, concave and convex. We're doing concave right now. And then let's just bring it forward and do convex. And then we'll roll up to a nice seated position, letting your shoulder blades still glide back down. So we're going to do a little bit more with the arms. We're going to take them up, palms facing down, keeping your shoulders still inside that nice girdle. Very nice. So she's got a nice position here. And we're going to establish that weighted tailbone. Keep your feet flat on the mat. Scoop your belly out. And now we're going to roll back and pause here. And come up and stay right here. Rolling down again, scooping up. And then coming up. And right. And rolling out. Keeping your feet flat. We're going to come up and dive slightly over. And then coming up. Rolling through. Inhale. Exhale. This is more like a bend as opposed to a curve. Inhale. And then exhale coming up. Inhale. Exhale rolling down. Inhale. Nice heavy tailbone. Very nice. Exhale coming up. And let's lower down your arms. So that not only works the spine, but you get some work here in your biceps, which is excellent. And you just get the work from holding your arms in a position and moving your back. You can tone your arms. That's why sometimes I have a client who's like, how come my wife is not drenched with sweat when she's like done with Pilates? He was like, when I take kickboxing, he's like, he's like, I'm like sweating. But she's like coming out all toned, and she's like, but no, it's just Joe Pilates just figured out a way to get the body exactly where you want it to be by holding it
You
in
still
certain
feel like
positions.
you're working, so I don't think it necessarily matters as much. Like, I don't know, there are all sorts of things that people use as indicators for progress that aren't necessarily progress. So I feel like sweat is just one of them. Like, yeah, it's great if you're going to get sweaty from a good workout, but is it a requirement? Not always.
Right. Very true. Okay. So we're going to add some things to our rollback series. We're going to establish a V with our feet. So your feet are normally in parallel, and parallel is about fist width apart or hip to hip apart. We're going to bring your heels together and turn your toes back. Scoop your belly out and bring your heels up. So from here, you're going to walk down to the elbows, keeping here, and then scoop out, pressing up, and slide the hands forward. So this is more of an intermediate exercise. You can come down a little. But this is also part of the half roll back and full roll back series. You can always add little layers and little things onto the exercise to keep the spine the way you want to keep it. But if you're really good at these, you can do like a million. And it'll feel like nothing, but it'll definitely work you out. So if you want to feel like something where it's like you just want to get stronger, maybe like, you like to go rock climbing in the springtime and you want to be able to, just really get it going, you can add these things. So, again, we keep our feet nice and parallel, and we're sitting nice and tall in the sit bones like we're about to do a roll back, where we just bring the heels together and scooping the belly out. So from the beginning, we start that C curve on the mat. The same feeling is the same way. Right into here as the shoulders go down, heavy tailbone, scoop the belly out, and once you do that, you're able to pick up your legs just fine. So if you walk down and walk back up, it's the same philosophy. You keep your nose in the center, you keep your tailbone heavy, you walk up, engage your abs, inhale, and exhale, coming back down. So you really feel your ab working. You can press those heels together and come on up and come back down. Very cool. Not easy at all. So let's bring our heels back down and let's take them to parallel. Take a deep inhale and exhale, and come on up. Very cool. And extend. All right, so sometimes you always need a stretch, so usually walk forward as we work the back. Take a deep inhale and exhale. Just think of yourself melting down to the mat. I love this stretch because this is kind of what I call you against you, right? So you get to do a lot of resistance. The only thing that beats this stretch is put your feet to my feet. And hold my hand. All right, press into my feet.
Okay.
Lower your shoulders. Okay. And now you scoop out your belly and pull me.
Is this right?
Yep.
Okay.
Keep pulling, scooping out your belly. All right, and now I'll pull you. And if you keep your belly scooped out, it's like an excellent stretch. You can do it with wide feet too, and dancers do it all the time. I'll pull all the way down and you'll pull all the way up. It's an excellent stretch. Then you can do it like all the time. So lower your shoulders and drop your head, and I'll just pull you. And she can press her feet in against me, and that'll help her stretch her lower back even more. And then she just rolls up, and then she pulls me the same way. And I press in, and I just push against my feet and her feet, and then you can roll up, and we're pretty stretched out. When we separate our legs, our thighs feel so much better because it's such an excellent stretch. I've got so many other stretches for like partners. You can do back to back, and I can go over, and you can lean back. It's just awesome, and it's so good for the lower back. Because when you do work out, you do get, a feeling of having worked out. So it's good to stretch out from time to time. We've got another roll back that I wanted to show, just using the legs more. And this one involves keeping your feet in a V and your arms here, or your arms here, or your arms here. So, arms here, keeping in the V. You're going to scoop your belly out. And now you still want to feel the same thing. You still want to feel your hips anchor down into the mat, your shoulder blades still down. And you're going to reach forward, scoop your belly out, keep the V. And now you really are aligning yourself. Go down, down, down. Here you get to iron out right underneath the butt muscles, the back, top of the thighs. And down, and keeping the heels together. Feel the lower back still down on the mat. Scoop your belly out. Start from the top of the head. Inhale, exhale. Curling your head and neck forward. Keep the V. Very nice. And inhale, exhale. Let's do it again. Keep the heels together. And taking a nice inhale and exhale, curling your head and neck forward. And arms down. Okay. That's our intermediate roll back. There's so many different levels, but how do you feel about that one?
I like that one. I was worried that I couldn't root myself down as well as the previous ones, but I like all the roll backs. Once you've put yourself in a V, it's a lot harder to sort of maintain the distance. But I think with more practice, I can get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. Do a V and then bring your arms to the parallel, and let's just roll down. I know what you're talking about as the tricky part. Go, keep going, going. Just start ironing out more here. Iron out more here.
That's it.
Press down right here. Very good. Yeah.
It's hard not to lift when you're there.
Yeah. That's the part right there.
I know I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, because this is not the bendy wendy part, right? This is the straight part. So you don't really get to think about this part of the leg too much unless, you're shaving it or, anything like that. So yeah, and there's no, rotator in there. So you think more about your thighs than you do about your calves, I would say, because you've got the knee here and here. So there's a lot more emphasis here. But yes, this can work for you. Yeah, and if you press down into here, it'll help like iron out back here and get your hamstrings all cool. So that was our rollback video.